Beneath the quiet fields of Xi'an, a hidden world slept undisturbed for over 2 millennia. The earth above seemed ordinary, farmers tilled it, seasons passed, but deep below, thousands of silent soldiers stood frozen in formation, guarding their emperor's dream of immortality. When their ranks were finally revealed, the world stood in awe. Each warrior bore a unique face, every expression carved with uncanny precision, as if time itself had preserved their souls in clay. The story begins with Emperor Qin Shi Huang, a man who united China through blood, fire, and vision. He ruled with an iron will, obsessed not just with power, but with eternity itself. And in his pursuit to cheat death, he created something the world had never seen, a vast underground kingdom where armies of terracotta men, horses, and generals would stand ready to serve him beyond the grave. But what lies beneath this grand monument is far more mysterious than the warriors alone. Scientists have excavated only a fraction of the site, leaving the emperor's central tomb untouched. Ancient records warn of deadly traps and rivers of liquid mercury flowing through a model of his empire. Modern instruments confirm mercury levels far above normal, hinting that the legends might be true. So why, after decades of discovery, does the tomb remain sealed? Is it fear of destroying history, or fear of what might be found inside? The Chinese government insists it's for preservation. Others whisper that something deeper, something unexplainable, still stirs beneath the soil. As night falls over the silent ranks of the Terracotta Army, one question lingers like a ghost in the dust: what secret is the first emperor still guarding, 2,000 years after his death? Long before his empire turned to dust, Emperor Qin Shi Huang feared only one enemy: death. From the moment he ascended the throne, he saw mortality not as a natural end but as a flaw to be conquered. He was the first ruler to unite the warring states of China, forging roads, walls, and armies that stretched beyond imagination. Yet even as his empire grew vast, his thoughts were consumed by one haunting question: how can a man who rules the world escape the fate of every man before him? The emperor's obsession with immortality became legend. He summoned hundreds of scholars, mystics, and alchemists to his court, demanding they uncover the secret of eternal life. Ancient texts speak of Taoist priests whispering of hidden islands where the gods lived forever. Qin sent entire fleets across the eastern seas in search of the mythical Penglai Islands, said to hold the elixir of life. None ever returned. But rather than accept failure, the emperor turned his gaze inward. If he could not find paradise, he would build it himself beneath the earth. Thus began the creation of his underground empire. Tens of thousands of workers labored for decades, shaping an entire world beneath the soil: palaces, rivers, gardens, and above all, an army. The terracotta warriors were not mere statues. They were guardians crafted to protect him in the next realm, soldiers meant to serve their emperor for eternity. Each face was unique, each expression deliberate, as if every warrior bore a fragment of a real soul. Historical accounts reveal his paranoia deepened with time. He refused to sleep in the same place twice, fearing assassins and unseen spirits. Alchemists fed him strange concoctions made from mercury and gold, claiming they would grant immortality. Ironically, the very substance meant to preserve him may have poisoned him instead. Yet death did not end his dominion, it only transformed it. The emperor's mausoleum became a cosmic mirror of his empire above, guarded by legions who would never tire. To the ancient mind, he had achieved the impossible, power that transcended death. Today, historians describe him as a tyrant. But within that tyranny was a vision unmatched in human history: a man willing to command heaven and earth to bend before his will. His tomb was not a grave. It was a declaration, carved in silence: even death shall obey the Emperor of China. What Qin Shi Huang created was not just a monument to himself, but a message for the future, a warning, perhaps, that some ambitions were never meant to die. And somewhere beneath the earth, in that forbidden palace of clay and mercury, his dream of immortality waits, untouched and undefeated, just as he intended. In the spring of 1974, a small group of farmers in Shaanxi province set out to dig a well in the dry earth outside the ancient city of Xi'an. The sun was merciless, the soil unyielding, and no one could have imagined that a few strikes of a shovel would awaken one of the greatest archaeological discoveries in human history. As the men dug deeper, they struck something hard, shards of clay, the color of bone. At first, they thought it was pottery. But as more fragments surfaced, the shape of a face began to emerge. A nose. A mouth. Eyes staring through centuries of silence. News spread quickly. Archaeologists arrived, and soon, what they uncovered left even the experts speechless. Beneath the fields lay vast chambers filled with thousands of life-sized warriors, each standing in perfect formation. Some held bronze spears and crossbows, others drove clay horses pulling chariots. It was a frozen army, built to defend an emperor long dead. As the dust was brushed away, the colors, reds, purples, blues, shimmered briefly before vanishing in seconds. The warriors had once been painted in vivid detail, but time and air stripped them bare, leaving behind an army of gray. The scale defied belief. The soldiers stretched across trenches the size of aircraft hangars, meticulously arranged by rank and role. Engineers, dancers, and acrobats were later found in adjoining pits, as though the emperor had recreated his empire underground. But as the excavation continued, scientists began to notice strange anomalies: bronze weapons sharper than they should be after 2,000 years, traces of chromium on their surfaces that hinted at anti-rust technology unknown in ancient China. Each discovery deepened the mystery. If this was only the outer complex, what then lay inside the emperor's main tomb? Why had no one dared to open it? Ancient records warned of deadly traps and rivers of liquid mercury surrounding the burial chamber. And modern scans seemed to confirm those legends. The discovery of the Terracotta Army didn't just rewrite history, it challenged the limits of what we thought ancient civilizations were capable of. What began as an accident had revealed a secret world, one that still refuses to give up its final mystery: what lies beneath the untouched tomb of China's first emperor. At the heart of the terracotta complex lies a place so mysterious, so heavily guarded by both history and the Chinese government, that it has never been touched by human hands in over 2,000 years. This is the central mausoleum of Emperor Qin Shi Huang, the forbidden core of the entire site. According to ancient records, it is not just a tomb but a replica of the universe itself, designed to grant the emperor eternal dominion even in death. Legends speak of rivers of liquid mercury flowing through miniature mountains and seas, a celestial map painted across the ceiling, and deadly traps set to kill anyone who dares to enter. For centuries, these tales were dismissed as myth. But modern science has begun to confirm what once seemed impossible. In the late 20th century, scientists used remote sensing and magnetic surveys to probe the land around the mausoleum. What they found was chilling: extremely high concentrations of mercury in the surrounding soil, far beyond natural levels. The readings aligned perfectly with the ancient texts, suggesting that those rivers of mercury might not be legend at all. It was as though the ground itself had absorbed the poison meant to preserve the emperor's world. Some researchers warned that opening the tomb could release toxic vapors or even trigger collapses from centuries of sealed pressure. Others argued that advanced preservation technologies, chemical treatments, vacuum chambers, would be needed before even attempting an entry. Still, the mystery goes deeper than mere preservation. Why does the Chinese government remain so adamant about keeping the tomb sealed, despite possessing the technology to explore it safely? Officially, the reason is to protect the relics from irreversible damage. But unofficially, whispers persist that something inside the tomb defies scientific explanation. Certain state archaeologists have spoken, carefully, and only once, of strange electromagnetic readings detected around the tomb's perimeter. Some claim that robotic probes sent too close to the inner walls malfunctioned inexplicably. One engineer allegedly described the feeling near the chamber as standing before something alive, something waiting. If the ancient texts are true, the emperor's burial chamber was engineered with unimaginable sophistication. Mechanisms of bronze and crossbows set to fire automatically upon intrusion, pearls embedded in the ceiling to mimic stars, and a flowing metallic landscape representing his empire in miniature. Every part of it was designed to preserve an illusion, the emperor's rule continuing eternally beneath the earth. To disturb that illusion might mean awakening whatever was meant to guard it. Historians remind us that Qin Shi Huang's court was filled with inventors and alchemists, people whose experiments bridged the boundary between science and mysticism. They possessed knowledge of mercury's preservative power and magnetic metals, substances that ancient people considered magical. Could it be that the emperor's engineers discovered principles lost to time? If so, the unopened tomb may hold evidence of technologies that would rewrite our understanding of the ancient world. Even today, satellite imagery reveals subtle patterns around the tomb mound, perfectly symmetrical geometries aligned with constellations. Beneath those layers of clay and stone may lie secrets the modern world is not yet ready to comprehend. Every few years, scientists propose new excavation plans, but each one is denied. And perhaps, in a way, that denial is a mercy. For once the seal is broken, the balance between myth and history would collapse forever. Standing above the mound, one feels an eerie silence, a silence that seems to hum with the weight of time. The emperor's presence lingers, invisible but undeniable, commanding the same respect and fear that he once inspired in life. His army stands watch, his palace lies buried, and deep below, in that chamber no light has touched for millennia, China's first emperor still waits, untouched, unseen, and perhaps, not entirely asleep. When archaeologists first began studying the Terracotta Army, they expected to find primitive craftsmanship, simple clay figures shaped by unskilled hands. What they discovered instead was something far more advanced, a level of engineering precision that seemed centuries ahead of its time. Each warrior was sculpted to life-size scale, standing over 6 feet tall, each with individual features, different hairstyles, armor patterns, and even expressions. Modern facial recognition software has confirmed that no two soldiers are alike. How could artisans over 2,000 years ago achieve such detail without modern tools or molds? The deeper the scientists dug, the stranger the discoveries became. The bronze weapons held by the warriors, swords, spears, arrowheads, were found to be in near-perfect condition. Their edges were sharp, their metal gleamed faintly even after 2,200 years underground. Chemical analysis revealed a thin coating of chromium oxide on their surfaces, a compound known today for its anti-rust properties. The mystery? Chromium plating wasn't discovered until the 20th century. How had the ancient Chinese created such advanced metallurgical results without the knowledge, or technology, of modern chemistry? Some scholars argue it was a coincidence, a natural result of the soil composition and lacquer coating. But the precision of the layer, uniform across thousands of weapons, suggests deliberate engineering. Could Qin's craftsmen have discovered a lost technique, one that science only rediscovered millennia later? If so, it raises a chilling question: what other technologies have vanished with time, buried alongside the emperor's secrets? Then there is the paint, the bright pigments that once covered every warrior. Early eyewitnesses described their colors as dazzling: reds, blues, purples, and greens. But the moment the figures were exposed to air, the paint began to curl, flake, and vanish within minutes. Scientists have since learned that the colors were preserved by a layer of lacquer made from tree sap, an organic polymer so delicate that even today's preservation methods struggle to stabilize it. It was as if the ancients had unlocked the secret to creating beauty meant to last forever, only for time itself to rebel against them. Beyond metallurgy and pigments, researchers found evidence of mass production techniques that rival modern assembly lines. Workshops were discovered near the pits, where different teams specialized in crafting heads, torsos, and limbs. Artisans even signed their work, small stamps pressed into the clay, identifying the maker, the team, and the quality inspector. This level of organization reflects not only craftsmanship but a sophisticated understanding of logistics and standardization, concepts that wouldn't become commonplace until the Industrial Revolution. All of this points to a civilization far more scientifically advanced than history has acknowledged. Some believe the emperor's engineers were guided by knowledge passed down from earlier, forgotten cultures. Others whisper of forbidden sciences, techniques erased from memory after the fall of Qin's dynasty. Whatever the truth, the Terracotta Army stands as physical proof that ancient China may have possessed secrets the modern world has only begun to rediscover. And yet, these mysteries are merely fragments, the visible tip of a buried empire of knowledge. The true technological marvels may lie still deeper, sealed inside the unopened tomb. There, preserved in a chamber untouched by air or time, might rest the ultimate evidence of what the emperor's scientists achieved in their pursuit of eternity. Until that tomb is opened, the full story of the Terracotta Army's impossible craftsmanship remains a puzzle science cannot yet solve. Behind the creation of the Terracotta Army and the emperor's eternal city stood a shadowy force, Qin Shi Huang's court of alchemists and engineers, men who blended mysticism with an uncanny grasp of science. These were not mere sorcerers chanting over cauldrons, they were scholars, metallurgists, and inventors who sought to bridge heaven and earth through experimentation. To the ancient Chinese, the pursuit of immortality was not superstition, it was chemistry, physics, and divine order intertwined. Within the emperor's laboratories, they worked with mercury, jade, and gold, believing each material carried spiritual and physical power. Historical accounts from the records of the Grand Historian tell of strange rituals performed in secret. The emperor's alchemists burned rare herbs, mixed cinnabar and mercury, and claimed to transmute matter itself. Some recipes they devised, like mercury pills, were said to grant eternal life. Others brought only madness and death. Yet, despite the dangers, Qin demanded progress at any cost. He financed expeditions across mountains and seas, searching for the mythical islands of the immortals. Each statue's face, unique and lifelike, seems to whisper of forgotten glories and unspoken fears. Beneath the soil of Xi'an lies more than an emperor's resting place, it is a riddle that continues to defy science, a story written in clay and buried under time. The more archaeologists uncover, the more questions seem to surface. Why was the army crafted with such precision that even modern tools struggle to replicate it? How could ancient artisans mass-produce thousands of warriors, each with individual features, without the technology we consider essential today? And most haunting of all, what was so sacred, or so dangerous, that the emperor's own tomb was sealed forever? Many scientists believe the mystery will remain unresolved for generations. The fear of irreversible damage, combined with the government's silence, ensures that the tomb stays untouched. Yet outside the guarded site, theories continue to multiply. Some argue that the Terracotta Army was not simply funerary art but a symbolic representation of a cosmic event, a mirror of the heavens meant to align the emperor's soul with celestial forces. Others speculate that the tomb holds not treasure, but knowledge, ancient records, star charts, or devices that could challenge the boundaries of known history. But beyond the debates and conspiracies lies something deeper, an unshakable fascination. The Terracotta Army has transcended archaeology to become myth itself, a reminder that human civilization, even at its earliest stages, possessed a complexity and ambition that we barely comprehend. The soldiers' unblinking gazes invite us to remember how easily truth becomes legend, and how legends often guard a sliver of truth. As night falls over Xi'an, the burial mound looms in the distance like a sleeping giant. Beneath it, the mercury rivers may still flow, the emperor may still rest surrounded by his mechanical defenders, and the air may still hum with secrets untouched by modern hands. Until the day the tomb is opened, if that day ever comes, the mystery will endure, suspended between science and myth, between what we know and what we fear to discover. And so, the Terracotta Army remains, not just a marvel of ancient craftsmanship, but a timeless reminder that some mysteries are never meant to be solved. When those missions vanished, he turned inward, commanding his scientists to make immortality with their own hands. It is within this fevered atmosphere that the Terracotta Army was born, not simply as an artistic achievement, but as an alchemical one. Clay was mixed with quartz and minerals in precise proportions, then fired in enormous kilns that maintained consistent heat long before thermometers or temperature gauges existed. The result was material so strong that it has endured earthquakes, floods, and centuries underground with minimal decay. Some archaeologists suspect that these same alchemists discovered chemical reactions that hardened the clay and metal beyond what ancient tools should have allowed. The emperor's fascination with mercury runs deeper still. Modern researchers have found mercury traces not only near the tomb's core but within the weapons and artifacts around it. In Taoist belief, mercury symbolized transformation, the bridge between life and death, solid and liquid, mortal and divine. To Qin Shi Huang, it was the element that promised transcendence. Ironically, the substance he believed would preserve him may have also poisoned his body, hastening his death at just 49 years old. And yet, some ancient sources suggest he never truly died. They speak of rituals performed in the days following his death, in which his body was hidden, his tomb sealed before decay could set in. Could his alchemists have succeeded, at least in preserving him beyond the reach of time? Even now, fragments of strange writings have been unearthed near the mausoleum, tablets referencing the secret of endless stillness and metal that breathes. Scholars debate their meaning, but one possibility lingers, that the line between science and magic was thinner than we imagine. In the emperor's world, alchemy was not fantasy, it was forbidden science, guarded by silence, buried with its creator, and perhaps, waiting to be rediscovered beneath the dust of eternity. Every great discovery seems to carry a shadow, and the Terracotta Army is no exception. From the very moment the warriors were unearthed in 1974, strange stories began to circulate. At first, they were whispered rumors among the workers, dismissed as superstition. But as time went on, coincidences piled into patterns too unsettling to ignore. Men who helped dig the first pit reported nightmares of soldiers watching them from the dark. Some fell mysteriously ill soon after. Others vanished from the excavation site, never to be heard from again. Official reports mention a handful of accidental deaths during the project, but local villagers tell a different story. They speak of researchers collapsing without explanation, of an unnatural silence that hung over the site at night, and of officials who arrived suddenly, sealing off certain areas with no explanation. Some archaeologists later claimed that specific chambers were quietly filled in again after being opened, because something inside caused unexpected reactions. Whether those reactions were chemical, biological, or something far stranger, no one outside the state archives knows. The most unsettling part is that these stories were quickly silenced. Interviews vanished from the record. Workers who spoke publicly were reportedly warned to remain quiet. The official stance was simple: there was no curse, no mystery, only baseless folklore. But the secrecy only made the rumors stronger. Even scientists began to wonder if something about the site carried an invisible danger. Some pointed to mercury vapor leaking from the ground. Others suggested ancient fungal spores or toxic compounds preserved within the sealed chambers. Yet none of these theories could explain the timing or selectiveness of the so-called curse. Many locals now believe that the spirits of Qin Shi Huang's soldiers still guard the emperor's rest, punishing those who disturb their eternal duty. In Chinese tradition, to awaken the dead without proper ritual is to invite imbalance between worlds. The Terracotta Army, they say, was never meant to see the light of day again. Whether the deaths were coincidence, contamination, or something more, one truth remains: fear surrounds the emperor's tomb as surely as the clay walls that protect it. Perhaps the curse is not supernatural at all, but the consequence of touching something the world was never meant to uncover. As archaeologists continue to uncover the Terracotta Army, they found themselves staring at achievements that seemed to stretch the boundaries of what ancient civilizations were capable of. The sheer precision of the layout, the perfect alignment of the pits, the consistent orientation of the soldiers toward the east, and the mathematical accuracy of their spacing, has left even modern engineers astonished. Every row and rank appears to follow a celestial logic, as though the builders had mapped the heavens beneath the earth. Could the terracotta complex be more than a tomb? Could it be a cosmic machine, a reflection of an intelligence we still struggle to understand? Mainstream historians attribute the perfection to skilled labor, massive manpower, and imperial discipline. Yet the deeper scientists study the site, the more anomalies appear. Magnetic scans reveal geometric tunnels that seem to extend beyond known chambers, their purpose unexplained. The placement of certain artifacts matches the positions of ancient constellations recorded in early Chinese astronomy. The Emperor's Tomb mound itself is aligned almost perfectly with the cardinal directions, its axis deviates less than a single degree. Some researchers propose that the complex was designed not only as a burial site but as an astronomical map, intended to synchronize the Emperor's soul with the cosmos. Then there are the more radical theories, those that claim the Terracotta Army bears traces of knowledge too advanced for its era. Some point to the Army's sophisticated bronze metallurgy and mercury-based technology as evidence of a lost scientific heritage. Others go further, suggesting that such precise engineering hints at outside influence, perhaps even extraterrestrial contact. To skeptics, these ideas are pure fantasy. But supporters argue that nearly every ancient culture, from Egypt to Mesoamerica, contains myths of sky beings who descended to teach architecture, astronomy, and the secrets of immortality. If such beings were real, or if their legends were inspired by forgotten civilizations, then the terracotta complex might represent China's version of the same ancient contact. Even ancient Chinese texts describe heavenly visitors descending in chariots of fire or bringing metal that could not rust. Some Taoist writings hint that the emperor's alchemists consulted messengers from the stars in their search for immortality. Were these merely metaphors for divine inspiration, or literal encounters lost to time? From a scientific standpoint, there is no concrete proof of alien involvement. Yet, the undeniable precision and unexplained technologies continue to feed speculation. The most striking example lies in the underground chamber surveys. Researchers have detected what may be massive metallic structures deep within the sealed tomb, arranged in patterns that suggest advanced knowledge of magnetism and energy flow. But because the tomb remains unopened, no one can confirm what lies beneath. Perhaps the truth does not lie in extraterrestrials at all, but in humanity's forgotten chapters. Civilizations rise, reach impossible heights, and then fall, leaving only fragments of their knowledge behind. Maybe Qin Shi Huang's empire tapped into wisdom far older than China itself, inherited from a vanished culture whose memory survives only in legend. Still, the mystery endures. Whether guided by gods, stars, or pure human genius, the Terracotta Army stands as proof that something extraordinary once happened here, something our modern minds still struggle to explain. The question remains not just who built it, but what they truly understood about the universe, and why that knowledge was buried with the dead. For decades, one question has haunted historians and mystery seekers alike: why does the Chinese government refuse to open the emperor's tomb? Official statements always echo the same cautious reasoning: preservation, protection, respect for history. Yet, beneath the layers of bureaucracy and diplomacy, many believe a deeper, more unsettling truth is being buried. The Terracotta Army has been partially excavated, studied, and displayed to the world, but the heart of the complex, the Emperor's sealed chamber, remains strictly off-limits. No foreign archaeologist is permitted to lead or even witness major operations. Access is granted only to state-approved teams, whose findings are carefully filtered before release. Some insiders claim that what has already been discovered inside adjacent tunnels has never been made public. Whispered accounts from those close to the project speak of discoveries too shocking to reveal, objects of unknown purpose, materials that react strangely to light, inscriptions that seem to reference technologies far beyond their age. Whether these are exaggerations, misunderstandings, or fragments of suppressed truth, they have given rise to a growing belief: China is hiding something extraordinary beneath Xi'an. Over the years, a handful of leaked documents and unverified testimonies have circulated among researchers. One describes a sealed inner vault, lined with metal walls unlike any known ancient construction, impervious even to ground-penetrating radar. Another mentions strange radiation patterns detected near the mound. Yet, each time such rumors surface, officials swiftly dismiss them, labeling them misinterpretations of scientific data. The secrecy itself has become a kind of evidence, a silence so complete that it only deepens suspicion. Then there are the archives. Chinese historians have long spoken of the lost records of the first emperor, a set of scrolls allegedly containing details of his construction projects, alchemical experiments, and encounters with divine emissaries. These documents vanished during the Han dynasty's purge of Qin texts. But some scholars insist copies survived in state archives, locked away under national heritage protection. To this day, requests to view those documents are denied without explanation. What makes this secrecy so powerful is how it blurs the line between truth and myth. The government's refusal to explore, or even discuss, the central tomb has turned it into a modern forbidden zone, a real-world echo of the myths it conceals. Some believe it's about national pride, an attempt to maintain control over China's most sacred archaeological treasure. Others suspect the reason is far stranger, that opening the tomb would expose discoveries capable of rewriting human history. Whatever the truth, the silence is absolute. Cameras, probes, and drones are forbidden near the emperor's mound. Armed guards patrol the area at night. And so, the greatest mystery of ancient China remains locked beneath its own soil, watched, protected, and perhaps deliberately forgotten. Somewhere in that still earth lies a secret the world is not yet ready to face, and China seems determined to make sure it stays that way. As the centuries pass, the Terracotta Army stands frozen in eternal silence, a silent legion guarding a tomb that refuses to yield its secrets. Each statue's face, unique and lifelike, seems to whisper of forgotten glories and unspoken fears. Beneath the soil of Xi'an lies more than an emperor's resting place. It is a riddle that continues to defy science, a story written in clay and buried under time. The more archaeologists uncover, the more questions seem to surface. Why was the army crafted with such precision that even modern tools struggle to replicate it? How could ancient artisans mass-produce thousands of warriors, each with individual features, without the technology we consider essential today? And most haunting of all, what was so sacred, or so dangerous, that the emperor's own tomb was sealed forever? Many scientists believe the mystery will remain unresolved for generations. The fear of irreversible damage, combined with the government's silence, ensures that the tomb stays untouched. Yet outside the guarded site, theories continue to multiply. Some argue that the Terracotta Army was not simply funerary art but a symbolic representation of a cosmic event, a mirror of the heavens meant to align the emperor's soul with celestial forces. Others speculate that the tomb holds not treasure, but knowledge, ancient records, star charts, or devices that could challenge the boundaries of known history. But beyond the debates and conspiracies lies something deeper, an unshakable fascination. The Terracotta Army has transcended archaeology to become myth itself, a reminder that human civilization, even at its earliest stages, possessed a complexity and ambition that we barely comprehend. The soldiers' unblinking gazes invite us to remember how easily truth becomes legend, and how legends often guard a sliver of truth. As night falls over Xi'an, the burial mound looms in the distance like a sleeping giant. Beneath it, the mercury rivers may still flow, the emperor may still rest surrounded by his mechanical defenders, and the air may still hum with secrets untouched by modern hands. Until the day the tomb is opened, if that day ever comes, the mystery will endure, suspended between science and myth, between what we know and what we fear to discover. And so, the Terracotta Army remains, not just a marvel of ancient craftsmanship, but a timeless reminder that some mysteries are never meant to be solved.